Hi guys, I'm Samina and welcome to the Cupcake Confession where I show you how you can learn to make amazing decadent desserts and sweet treats. If this is something that you enjoy, then don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and while you do that, also don't forget to ding this little bell button. That way you will be notified every time I post a new recipe. Today I'm showing you how you can transform a strawberry papaya smoothie into this delicious eclair, and it also has a strawberry custard filling in it. So I'll show you how I made this from scratch. Here you go. The very first thing we want to do is start working on our custard. Now you could go the traditional route and use yolks and milk and everything, but I just like to keep it simple, and I've used instant strawberry custard powder here. So I have full fat milk and the custard powder. I'm just going to give it a good whisk, and then once the powder has uniformly dissolved into the milk, I'll add some caster sugar. Now so far it was just heating on a gentle heat, but now I'll increase the heat and boil it, and it'll thicken up after 3 to 4 minutes, and then I'll just transfer it to a different container. Place some parchment paper over the surface just so skin doesn't form, and let it cool down to room temperature. Now we'll make the pudding for our boiled milk buttercream frosting. So here I have some full fat milk, caster sugar, and I've added pureed papaya and pureed strawberries into this, and now I'm just going to whisk this until everything is well combined and the sugar has dissolved into the milk and the fruit mix. So once that happens, I'll switch off the heat and I'll add my all-purpose flour. The reason I do that is because we have to first rigorously whisk the flour into the pudding mix, because we don't want a lumpy frosting. So once it has all dissolved, I'll turn on the heat again, and this time it will be medium high, so that we first want the frosting to start boiling. So you'll see that the color has changed. It has become a really nice peachy color from the orange and the red of the different fruits of the papaya and the strawberry. Now as you can see, it's boiling really rapidly. That's perfect because we want it to boil for 3 minutes. What that does is it takes away the floury taste, and it also thickens the pudding considerably. So once 3 minutes have passed, you'll see that you'll find a little bit of resistance while you're whisking this. That's because the pudding is thickening. Then you're going to transfer this into a plate and let it cool down to room temperature completely. Now while both our custard and our pudding base for the frosting is chilling, we're going to start working on our choux pastry. So the first thing you want to do is preheat your oven to 220 degrees Celsius. Here I have in a saucepan some water. To that I'm adding my room temperature softened salted butter. I like to use salted butter, but you could use unsalted butter, but if you're doing that, also add a pinch of salt into this mix. Now you want the butter to sort of start melting, and then it starts to just sort of have bubbles on the surface. You turn off the heat at that point and add your flour. Now you have to work a bit quickly, so the heat here is off at the moment. I'm using my spatula. You could use a wooden spoon and just mix the flour into the butter and water mix. And once you cannot see any more flour, raw floury lumps in there, you're just going to turn the heat back on, and now you want to cook. So basically what you're doing here is you're trying to get rid of any water content that is within this mix. You want to dry out this flour pudding thing. So you'll see that after about 4 minutes or so, there's a thin film of the flour that forms at the base of the saucepan, and you cannot scrape it off. That's when you know it's ready. You'll transfer this into a clean bowl, and then you cannot add eggs immediately because it's just going to scramble everything. So you're just going to beat this on low speed for about 2 to 3 minutes. You'll see that the steam starts to escape and it starts to come down to room temperature slightly. Once that happens, we have to introduce moisture back into this dough. So we start adding eggs a little at a time. I'll also add some vanilla extract. So add 1 egg at a time and then beat it on medium speed. You'll see that from a very grainy, lumpy mess, it starts to come together. Before adding your final egg, you'll break it down first and add a little at a time, because you don't want to add too much of the egg. It should feel tacky and sticky. I'm going to show you exactly what the dough should look like. So when you press it between your 2 fingers, it should stretch. It should feel sticky. That's the perfect consistency, and now I'm just going to scrape the sides and the bottom, collect it together and transfer it to a piping bag with a round nozzle fitted on. Now I have a parchment paper with a 10 centimeter line drawn as a guideline, and I'm just going to pipe my choux pastry in straight vertical lines along that line. Now once you do that, there will be some pointy bits, and you're going to use some water on your finger just to arrange that and make sure that it shapes well. Then you're going to take a fork and just make a rough line on the top of the dough. This just helps keep the dough's shape and gives it a good texture. I'm also going to use some more egg and give it a nice egg wash. This gives a nice brown color while it's toasting or baking in the oven. And once you've given the egg wash, you're now going to pop that into the oven for about 5 minutes at 220 C for the first 5 minutes. Then you're going to reduce the temperature to 180 C or 350 F and bake it for another 30 minutes, or so a total of 35 minutes. After that, immediately once your choux buns are out or your eclairs are out, you're going to poke a hole in the bottom of these eclairs, because you want the steam or the heat to escape, so it keeps the eclairs crisp. Now we are going to make our buttercream frosting. So I have softened salted butter. Our pudding by now has come down to room temperature. I'm going to beat the butter for about 30 seconds until it becomes nice and soft and smooth. Now I'll keep adding the pudding mix in little installments, and between each installment I'll just keep mixing this on medium to medium high speed. And once I've added the final pudding installment, I'll just crank up the speed to high and keep beating this continuously for about 2 to 3 minutes. I also like to scrape the sides and bottom of the bowl to make sure the frosting is getting uniformly mixed. This is exactly like the boiled milk frosting. In fact, it is boiled milk buttercream frosting, except that the milk here is a strawberry papaya smoothie. So once I have done that, I'm going to separate this into 3 parts. So as you can see, the first part is just its natural color, the pale peach color. The second part, I have colored it with a little bit of a pink shade for representing strawberries, and then I'm going to color the third part with some nice peachy orange, which kind of looks like a papaya orange color. And then, just like we did for the strawberry milkshake cupcakes, we are going to pipe little vertical lines of frosting alternately on a cling wrap, like so. And once we've added all the lines of the frosting, one next to the other, I am going to start rolling the cling wrap from one end, and I'll just keep rolling it like I would do for a Swiss roll. And because the buttercream frosting is so stable, it just kind of stacks over the other. And then I'm just going to put that into my piping bag, which is fitted with a 6B Wilton nozzle. Now our frosting is also ready. It is ready to be piped. So now you can see that we have this beautiful transition from a light pink to a light orange. It's just magnificent once you pipe it. So now it's time to fill our eclairs. So I'm just going to use the bottom of the eclairs to fill the custard in. I have a Wilton 10 tip, and I'm just going to make a tiny hole in the bottom and stuff it with custard. Now the only way to know when to stop is that you'll feel that the eclair has been filled with the custard, and you'll see that it starts to slightly come out of the hole, and that's when you stop. Now using my Wilton 6B tip, I'm just frosting this swirl over the top of my eclairs, and once I've done that, I'm just going to drizzle some sprinkles over my ready eclairs. It just adds a nice touch to my eclairs. And as a finishing touch, I'm going to put half of my strawberry in there, and I'm going to do this for all of my eclairs. Now it's time for me to show you what it looks like on the inside. Oh my god, guys, this is showtime. Here I'm going to slice it in half, and there you go. This is one of the nicest eclairs you will eat. It is just so flavorful, and it's just amazing. You have to give this a go, and when you do let me know on my Instagram. If you have any comments or suggestions, pop them down in the comments below. I post a new recipe every Tuesday and Thursday, so if this is something that you enjoy and if you want to be notified every time I post a new recipe, then don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and while you do that, also don't forget to ding this little bell button. I'll see you again next time. Bye.